ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 127 of Explode, your expert biz show, brought to you by gtex.org.uk. I am your host, Simone Vincenzi, the Experts Strategist, and this is the podcast for experts who want to become the ultimate authority in their niche while making an impact in the world. And today I'm going to interview, I don't know why I'm calling myself we, but I'm going to interview Angela De Souza, and we talk about how she did it in her pajamas. Now, before you get strange ideas, she actually built a successful networking organization for women called the Women Business Club that now is taking over all the UK, and she's an entrepreneur, and she's full of ideas, and her biggest passion is her husband, 4 beautiful children, 1 grandchild, 3 cats, and she loves helping people build their business. We're going to talk in this episode about systems and processes, because this is something that she was able to do, that Angela was able to do, literally create processes around their business so that she could scale up massively. And we are going to in particular review and reveal what is her system that she uses behind the scene and all her automation that are going on. For me, it was one of the most valuable interview I've ever had, for a very selfish reason, because it's like, this is so amazing. I'm just going to basically take part of it. This is so good. And this is the aim for you as well. You're building your business. We got to learn from who has done those things already. And automation is a big thing I'm working on at the moment. So make sure that you listen to this episode with Angela De Souza. I did it in my pajama. You can also find all the transcripts with all the show notes at gtex.org.uk /episode 127. Or you can find as well the link, if you just scroll down in your show notes, they are there. There are all the links to connect with Angela as well. So make sure that you listen to this interview until the end. It's going to blow your socks off. Yeah, like, you literally blow the socks. I don't know if it will be a pleasant sensation, blowing socks. Anyway. Now, if you want to become great at selling from the stage and create 6 figures presentation, then download our Ultimate Selling from the Stage checklist, which is the ultimate checklist that you need to create a presentation that sells. I've created it after selling more than 7 figures from events, webinars, so it will make a massive difference in your business too. And as well, if you're finding, the link is in the show notes. And if you want to grow with a community, with a supportive community, why don't you join our Facebook group? You get, it's completely free to join. It's called Explode Your Expert Biz, and we'll give you free training. I'm always there to support you. I'm always there answering questions. And as well, you can connect with all the guests that we have on our show and ask them your own personal questions. Now, it's time to get started. Oh, one more thing before we get started. Hey. Subscribe to the show. If you haven't subscribed yet, what the heck are you waiting for? Subscribe right now. Now, I think we can get started. Yes, I'll allow you to listen to Angela De Souza. All right, let's start the music. Another episode of Explode Your Expert Business Show. Today I am here with the one and only Angela De Souza. How are you doing, Angela?
Hi, it's great to be here.
It's awesome to have you here too. I'm really excited about this show, Angela. And I'm really excited because today we are going to be talking about how you did it in your pajama. And I was like, oh my God, what is this about? I need to interview Angela, and in particular because she did incredible things. And now, Angela, can you please share a bit more about your journey? Where did you start? What's your story?
I started by accident. So I didn't intend to set up a business at all because my very first business had failed and I had decided that I wasn't a businesswoman. And so I had disregarded myself in the business world and got on with other things that didn't involve money at all. And so I believe that when you have something inside of you, it's going to keep trying to come out. It comes natural to you and it's going to keep trying to come out, and you can keep suppressing it, but it's going to keep trying to come out. And what's inside of me is the desire to connect people and to help bring out their potential. And I found myself doing that in various capacities along the way. And one of them started when I wanted to connect business women and help them to bring out their potential in business. And so I very much set it up by accident. I didn't say I'm going to start a business. It was more a case of, and why don't we also connect business people? Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So from there, we started our Women's Business Club monthly networking events, and that grew to training events, and that grew to a franchise. And that was phenomenal how I went from accidentally setting up a networking event to suddenly realizing that the model I'd set up was franchisable and it was valuable to the business community.
What was the moment that made you realize that, I need to, this can become a franchise?
I think again, it's one of those things that I tend to do naturally is I grow things. I like to grow things. And so for me, I'm always looking at ways to grow things, if it's plants in the garden or if it's a business or, a career. And so for me, a franchise was, okay, this is the way I can take what I've started and grow it. It didn't feel like a real business for me until the first franchise sold and I saw real money in my bank account. That's when I thought, this is real. This is becoming a real business.
And while you were setting up your franchise, while you were setting up your business, even at the beginning, how was your journey? Was it easy? Like, it came the idea, oh my God, I want to connect entrepreneurs. I'm going to create networking events. Great. And then suddenly people started signing up like crazy, and then they wanted to become members immediately. Is that what happened?
No. Definitely not. The first event was amazing and I loved it, and I realized that that's definitely something I'm meant to do. But business to me is like a roller coaster. It's a permanent roller coaster where you have highs and you have lows. And so for me, setting up and running the business, it's been a series of days when I love it and a series of days when I hate it. And it's like a combination of that permanently. There are days when everything goes right and members sign up, and testimonials, and it's wonderful. And I think this is why I do it. And then there are days when I'm just like, kill me now. I hate it. I don't want to do this ever again. And it's very extreme, but it's the reality of business.
It's like, why am I doing this? Why did I do this to myself? Why can't I go back to a job?
Exactly. Jobs are wonderful things.
You know what? I think that everyone is really interesting. When someone is in job, they're like, oh, screw the 9 to 5. I don't want to work in job anymore. Then they decided to run their business. The first 6 months is fine. After 6 months, they say, why did I quit? Why? It's like, I miss my job. I think that
I know, jobs are wonderful.
Absolutely. But then something kept you going. Something made you say, no, I want to keep doing this. I want to do more. So what was your personal reason why you decided to say, I'm not going to settle. Even if it's hard, I'm going to keep going?
I think there are two things. The first thing is, every time I get a testimonial and I realize that I'm making a difference, then I think it's worth it because I'm doing something that's helping somebody else. And then the second reason is, I understand that to do anything great takes a long time. And so I've always set my mind to 20 years. That's been my number. And I know that if I quit after 5 years, that I have never given myself the chance to realize my full potential. And if I start something else now, if I quit what I'm doing and start something else, then I'm way back to day one of my 20 years.
Yeah, absolutely. I love what you said about the 20 years. A lot of people
They just say, oh no, I need to make it in 2 years. I need to make it in 1 year. Generally it's 12 months. Oh, in 12 months I'm going to create this. But 12 months is not a really huge amount of time when you're talking about all the things that you can create in your business. Okay, Angela, so now we talked about, we know you better right now. We know about you, we know about your why, what made you keep going. We talked about the incredible company, the incredible networking event and franchise that you have created. Now it's time to share your expertise. It's time to share the things that we are here today. And we're talking about systemization. We are talking about business systems. And the title of the interview is very weird. It's like, I did it in my pajama. And I was like, what the heck does it mean? So can you please help me clarify, and help all of us listening here clarify, what the heck does your pajama have to deal with business systems? Please.
Okay, so the pajama side of it is because in the midst of running a business, I did what most business owners do, and I overworked, and I got myself into a state of complete burnout because I was doing everything all of the time. And that often happens in startups. You have to do the bookkeeping, you have to do the website, you have to make the tea, you have to do everything, and then still find to serve your clients and run the business. And so I found myself in that position where I was doing everything. I was working ridiculous hours and I got burnt out. I just got completely burnt out and I got depressed. And I found myself having to preserve energy to just get through the day. And so things like getting dressed out of my pajamas and brushing my hair and brushing my teeth, they all took energy. So in order to preserve energy, I just worked in my pajamas. Some days I stayed in bed, I worked in my pajamas. And that's how I got through a very difficult time of burnout and depression, by just preserving energy. But it was in that time of thinking I don't want to quit, because I had every right to say, I've made myself unwell, I need to stop and get better. But I realized I don't want to quit. I want to find a better way of doing things. And so I realized that I needed to systemize and automate my business. And what that has afforded me now, it means I can go away on holiday and come back and my business is still working and growing. And it's still bringing income in. It means that I can afford to take a day off if I need to. If I do feel a bit overworked, I could take the day off and go have coffee with my girlfriends or go for a walk, and the business will still run seamlessly. Nothing's changed. And also, in order to grow a national franchise, which is what I'm doing, there comes a point where you hit a wall and you can't physically do anymore yourself. So you can't grow. So a system, and when you automate and systemize your business, you're able to grow exponentially. You can just keep growing because it's the system that you're managing. You're not in there doing the work yourself, but you're just overseeing a system. Now, obviously, the system we have in place now is fantastic, but there's always room for improvement. So my role now is the system builder. I'm always working on the system.
So it's really fascinating. This is really fascinating because, as you said, you arrive to a point where you can't do everything by yourself. You arrive to a point where you need to have a system that allows your business to grow exponentially, that is scalable. Otherwise, you will always hit a wall. You cannot be everywhere. And I think that in this industry where we are talking about experts, speakers, trainers, and is an industry which is based on the personal brand, and there is this myth that you got to do everything.
Absolutely.
There is this myth that the business can't keep working without you. But I think that even if you're working and if your business is based on your personal brand, you can create the system. So I have now a question for you, which is how do you transition? Let's say someone is there which is running their business, is making money, they are working, but they're still working really hard. What is the first step to create those systems to allow you more freedom and being able to grow your business faster?
I think the first step is to record and document everything you're doing. I think it's really important that whether you intend to franchise or not, you treat your business like a franchise. So the first thing to do is to start to write down and record what you're doing. And that has two purposes. First of all, it starts to give you the data you need to create the system. But second of all, it helps you realize where you're wasting time, where you're doing unnecessary things. So I think any business, I always encourage startups. Start by documenting everything you do, because then you won't have to come back to it one day when your business has grown and then start the whole process. So if you start your business with a system in mind, then you can grow no matter, how far ahead you are in the journey.
So you start your business with the systems in mind, but a lot of people, they're saying, well, that's easier said than done. I mean, I'm not a system person. So for example, someone like me would say, well, I'm not a system person, and I'm not thinking about system. And how do I document it? What are the best ways to document it?
So you can break it up into departments. So you can say, okay, my business. Now, you can do this from a one-man band from startup point. But it's the way you think about things that matters. So it's not necessarily who's in your team at that time, because it's just you, but it's the way you're thinking about it. So if you think of your business as, this is a big company with departments. I have a finance department. I have a marketing department. I have a sales department, admin department, HR department, and whatever. You start your business that way. Or if you've been in business for a few years, you start working in that way and you start allocating tasks to departments and you start to keep documents of processes according to departments. Then the beauty of that is when you're at the place where you can start getting staff in or you can start outsourcing, already clearly defined, this is finance, I need to find a finance person. And then the other beauty of that is that you can start to see which areas you neglect the most. And those are obviously the ones that you don't like. So the very first thing that you outsource are the things that you don't like doing, because you want somebody better than you coming into your business and doing a fantastic job with the things that you actually don't like doing. Sometimes I've mentioned this to so many business owners. You hold on to everything and you're too scared to take that step, because either you're scared of the financial risk. And in that case, I say to people, how much is it costing you to do it? When you could be doing something you love and are good at, how much are you actually spending on doing the thing that you hate? It probably takes you 10 times longer. And if you outsource that thing or you got a staff member in, that money spent, you'd actually make it up because you freed up your time to do the thing that you love. And then your business is more likely to grow if you're doing the things that you love doing. So if you start with any business, any site, start thinking in departments, start thinking of the different areas, and then start documenting your processes. So you've changed your thinking, but then when you document your processes, again, you can streamline your processes. I discovered something. It's a very simple example, but 2 years ago, my keyword for the year was automation. I wanted to automate. I didn't want to do anything that I didn't have to do. So automation was my goal. And it's a very simple thing. But on my website, I have my books, because I've written a few books. And the process was that a buyer would come to my website. They would add to cart. They would check out. I would then receive the order. I would then order the book, because I was what's it called? Print on demand.
Yep.
I would order the book, get the book, pay the postage for the order, repackage the book, post it out, and pay the postage. And that was the process. And because I was focused on automation, I thought, this is ridiculous. All I'm going to do is put the Amazon link on my website. Now I'm
done. Simple.
Nothing. I've eliminated the entire process.
Sometimes it's interesting to see how such a small thing can make a huge difference. Because when people think about automation, they think about or systems, they think about this massive task, because it can be for some areas of your business can be a huge work. It might take you months just to automate or systemize one area of the business. But then once, when it's done. And two is sometimes some things that you think in your mind, it will take such a big thing, they are so frustrating. It just might be one button or one integration or one piece of system that you put in place, boom, 10 minutes, things is solved completely.
But once you're thinking in that way, like when I was thinking that way, I eliminated an entire process for people to buy my books, but then that started leading me to other areas where I suddenly took away an entire staff member because of automation. I discovered Zapier. I had a staff member.
Oh, I love Zapier. We love Zapier.
I had a staff member coming in part-time that would process my data and put it into my database and do all of the processes. And then I discovered Zapier, and I didn't need an entire person to do all of this admin because between Zapier and Infusionsoft, I've automated.
Can you tell it? Yeah, it's absolutely awesome. Can you tell a bit more about what is Zapier for our listeners that don't know what it is?
So Zapier will connect, it can connect loads of things, but for example, it can connect your Google spreadsheet to your CRM so that the data is automatically transferred from your Google spreadsheet to your CRM. In my case, you can collect your Facebook advert leads and automatically put it into your CRM. You can do so much with it. I'm only familiar with it from what it can put into my CRM. So I've eliminated a person manually inputting data to just saying, well, I've got the sign-up form on Google Sheets. I've got this Facebook advert going out that collects leads. I've got Eventbrite bookings coming in. All of those processes were done manually. Eventbrite bookings came in, a person then put them into the CRM. A Facebook lead would come in and a person would put it into a CRM.
I used to do exactly the same. Yeah.
Zapier does it all. It's wonderful.
Absolutely. We love Zapier.
And then as soon as it goes into the CRM, it gets tagged, and then there's another series of automation that gets people to the point where they need the personal touch. So all of that work is now done automatically until my CRM will then trigger a phone call. It will log a phone call with the sales team, for example, or with customer service. The whole thing's automated, and I just love it. It's amazing.
Oh my God, I'm so excited about this because yes, it's important. It's crucial automation. So now, before we move on to the next part of the interview, where you lift the veil about what's working really well in your business, the things that you do well, I want to ask you, what systems do you do and do you use to automate? Because that's what we started talking about. You mentioned Zapier. You mentioned Infusionsoft as a CRM system. What else? Is there anything else that you use that you found really useful that that our listeners and myself included should use?
I think my system is very simple in that it won't work unless you start with the correct foundation. So in my case, it's about creating lead magnets so that we're attracting our ideal client to us. So we have to go back a step. Who's our ideal client? So the very beginning, the very foundation of our system is actually who are they, what is their pain, and how are we able to serve their pain? And that's the foundation. And without a good, solid foundation, automation is just going to automate. It can automate, but there's automating the wrong thing.
Absolutely.
So we started the foundation. Who's our ideal client? What are their pain points? And how can we serve them? And then so we put what we call lead magnets out there. We put it out on social media. We put it out on email. And then we're attracting our ideal clients into our system. And then we automate the first part of the system. So I think I jumped ahead in your interview. Sorry.
That's fine. You keep going. We are on a roll.
Yeah, so it's what I alluded to earlier, that we have all these places where our lead magnets are out there generating leads, but they come pre-qualified, they come self-selected, they're the right leads. And then they go into, that come into Facebook, or that come into LinkedIn, or that come in through an online landing page or a web form or whatever. So there's all these various different places they come in. But then they all go to the same place. They all go through Zapier into Infusionsoft. And then in Infusionsoft, I can become addicted to Infusionsoft because I'm always finding new ways to automate. I'm like, oh my goodness, now I can do this. And it's not that it's, the automation should never replace the customer service and the personal touch. but there's a lot of information, or there's a lot of the customer experience that doesn't need a person, and to get them to that point where they need the person. And so my team are not drained by processing tons and tons of customer inquiries. Rather, they're getting the right sort of leads directed to them at the right point in the customer journey. So when the customer's ready, we've got somebody on the phone that's going to talk to them and discuss what they need. However, if they're just browsing, or if they're just curious, then the automation is going to take care of them. And so it's fantastic. And I can go away. I can walk out my office and go out for the day, come back, and the business is still growing because all this automation is going on.
Right. Now you got me curious. Give me an example of a campaign that you have to get someone. So if you think about the process of a campaign, to get someone from a lead to that call, what are the different steps that people can say, okay, well, if I need to automate, let me look at the different steps of the customer journey. What Angela does.
Okay, I'm going to be giving you my secrets now.
It's like the secret. Well, that's what we're looking for. You're looking for the secrets. That's why you guys, you should listen to these shows, because they are also giving you the secret of the secret of the secret.
Yeah, I'm giving you all my good stuff now. So we've got two processes. We've got the marketing process, and then we've got the sales process. So the marketing process is where we put out our lead magnets and we attract people. But at the Women's Business Club, our entry point is come and have lunch with us. So we want to make sure that everybody comes to one of our clubs and has lunch with us, so that we can then take everything offline and build a proper personal relationship. Now that triggers one of our automation processes at Infusionsoft. The way you book a lunch is you go into Eventbrite and you book your lunch, and Eventbrite through Zapier will then pop them into Infusionsoft, and that will trigger what we call touch. So we've got 12 touch points before they get to membership sale, and then they either have to make a decision, yes or no. So Infusionsoft, once they've gone into Infusionsoft, after they've attended an event, Infusionsoft will automatically send them an email. And it's not a sales email. It's just a, how did you enjoy the event? May we have your postal address because we'd like to send you something in the post. Now that then triggers 12, so that was 12 touch 2. That will trigger 12 touch 3, which is a postcard that we post out to people who have attended an event. And the postcard, you can sync, we use DocMail.
Mm-hmm. DocMail.
DocMail.
Okay, I'm writing down so I can put in the show notes. Thank you.
So DocMail is a fantastic way of sending out postcards or letters or anything. You can sync it with Infusionsoft so it's done automatically. So you can get Infusionsoft to automatically send out your letters at a certain point in your automation, or send out postcards. What we do is we send out a postcard with an inspirational graphic on the front, mm-hmm. and a personal letter on the back saying, we just wanted to check in with you, make sure you're having a great week, etc., etc. So it's not it's not a sales postcard, but it's just a touch point. We're just letting them know that we're thinking of them. Here's some inspiration for the week, and we hope to see you at the next lunch. So our automation aim is to get them to lunch number 2, because they can only visit twice before they have to make a decision.
Yep.
So they've had the touch point 1, which is the event, touch point 2, which is the follow-up email, just to touch base and to get their postal address. Touch point 3 is their postcard that goes out, and then touch point 4 would be a social media message. So we try to find which platform they're most active on, and that's when a person, Infusionsoft will then trigger an action to one of the team, who will then add the personal touch, and they will have to personally engage on social media. But we try to find out their favorite social media platform, and we engage. The hope then is that they will book in to touch point 5, which is the second lunch. Mm-hmm. So we've done all of this, and the only thing that hasn't been automated is the social media. That's been a personal message. Then after touch point 5, we move to touch point 6, which is another email, automated email by Infusionsoft, at which point they're given a direct phone number to one of our team, and they're asked when we may phone them. So it's a direct request to have a phone call, at which point, I've lost count now, touch point 7.
7. Yeah.
That will be Infusionsoft will create a task for one of the sales team, to get in touch and have a phone call. And then once they've had the phone call, they'll log the conversation, the general gist of the conversation into Infusionsoft, and then it will trigger 8, which will be a social media message, and then 9 will be your event invitation. No, have I lost track now? Yeah. And then
9, okay.
And then we get a final touch point, which is you have to make a decision now, because we are a membership organization. You've experienced 2 lunches. You've heard from our team. We've connected with you on social media. I hope you can see the value. Would you like to join us as a member? So they could have joined as a member at any of those touch points, but touch point 10, we then tag in Infusionsoft, closed 1 or closed last. And then if they go on to closed 1, which means they've joined a member, so 1 as in WON, that will trigger a new member automation in Infusionsoft. So then they go into the next thing, which is the new members, and that's nurturing for new members, educating them about how to get the most of their membership. It's all the different things that they can get, and that triggers a whole new automation process. Whereas if it's touch 12 lost, then it's going to trigger maybe a follow-up email in 3 months' time, depending on why they weren't ready. Because many times our potential members are ready, they want what we have to offer, but it's not no, it's not now, or not yet, or I first have to let my children settle in school.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's not no. So when we say 12, the final touch point is lost, it's not no. It's just there's a reason why they're not ready, because we know we can offer value. There's no ways they don't want us. We just have to figure out when it's right for them, and if we can help them with their pain points. Maybe they don't have any at that time, in which case we're not relevant. And we don't want to push something on them that they don't want.
I have to say, I let you go on a spring like that. You were amazing.
Sorry.
No apologies for that. That was one of the most valuable pieces of strategy that we have ever had in the history of our podcast.
No.
Over 110, by the time we release this one, it will be 120 episodes. And this has been pure gold. In particular because...
I'm going to quote you on that.
I'm going to quote me, say Simone Vincenzi from GTAS, that was said, amazing interviews. Because there is something incredibly powerful in what you shared. I run more than 200 events a year, so I know how much work and how much manual work can be done and can be avoided with automation. And the sequence that you shared for someone who is running events is pure gold. This is worth thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds of mentoring, of online courses on this sequence. So thank you very much for sharing it freely here on the show, because it's been, I think, eye-opening for a lot of people of what it takes to create a great event, create a great customer experience, and also shows how in-depth, how much experience you have, how in-depth you are thinking about all the different stages of the customer to make sure that they buy at the right time. So
Yes.
absolutely love that. Now, it's time to wrap up this interview, and before we wrap up, I want to share with you what kind of projects are you working on at the moment? What are you excited about that is coming up in your business?
Well, it's in the future, it's in December, but every year we run a national conference for businesswomen called the Maximize Conference, and we work on it all year. It's one day that takes us all year to work on. And so we've just started inviting people to come on board as award sponsors, as sponsors for the event, to sign up as exhibitors. We have 4 speaker slots, and we're just opening that up, inviting people to apply for speaker slots. And so it's all really happening now. And it's very simple. Maximize.live is the website, and that's kind of the highlight of our year. It's where all the clubs from across the country come together in one place. And of course, absolutely anybody else is welcome as well. You don't have to be a member to come along. So we kind of attract businessmen and women from across the country to that event on the 5th of December. So we're really excited about that.
So there is the event on the 5th of December. Very likely I'm going to be there. And we're already talking about sponsorship in our first call that we had. So I'm already speaking at one of your lunches, a couple of your lunches actually that are coming soon. So if someone wants to explore also becoming a member or attending one of your first lunches, now they know the sequence, they know what they're going to go through. So they know they're going to take very well taken care of. Where can they find more information about booking their lunch?
It's very easy. Everything on the website homepage points you to a lunch. So it's womensbusiness.club. You go on there and you'll have a button straight away, book a lunch or find out more about the club. And so it's on the homepage. Easy to find.
Brilliant, fantastic. Well, it's been an incredible interview, Angela. I loved every single minute of the show that we shared together and these interviews that you have done. In particular, looking at the inspiration that and the reality that you gave at the beginning when you talked about those moments where you don't have much energy, that just to keep going and work, you are doing it from your pajamas, so then you can save this moment and this energy that you have to grow your business. Looking at where you arrive now, creating this incredible franchise, the conferences, the lunches, all the systemization. I commend you for all the work that you have done. So, guys,
I'm not wearing my pajamas today. I got dressed.
You got dressed today. We can see that. For those of you that are watching the video on YouTube, if you're just listening on the podcast, then she has a lovely blue sweater. While if you are watching on YouTube, you can definitely see that she's not dressed in a pajama right now. And now, thank you very much, Angela. Make sure that you guys connect with her and book a lunch, see what is about. And if you're wanting to sponsor or become a speaker for the conference that she runs in December, make sure you get in touch. All the links are going to be in the show notes. So check the show notes. All the links are going to be there. Angela, once again, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Make sure that you subscribe to the podcast right now. It's important. You need to do it now. The button is calling you, so click that button and let me know what did you enjoy the most about this interview. What did you enjoy the most? Leave us a review, because that's the two ways where you can help us out to grow the show. Subscribe and leave us a review, and so we can keep interviewing incredible people like we did today with Angela. Thank you very much, and remember that together we grow exponentially. See you next time. Ciao.